All right, layer one. It is the hardware. It is the actual tangible, touchable aspects of the network itself. Let's talk about those. Analog versus digital. When did that change? What is analog communication? Does anybody remember dialing a phone, literally? Yeah. There were actual, when we say switch, we're talking about switches. They were the hardware switches. Yeah. This was the old days, Andy. Then we went to digital, solid state, once circuit boards came around, once we went to silicon, right? It's a lot faster, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot smaller, and it's a lot less expensive, relatively, honestly. We can set up our network in a different topology, which is a big word that just means layout, right? There are different ways we can do it. One of the simplest, easiest, most rudimentary ways originally is the bus topology. All it is a bus is one line, and each device attaches to that line. That's pretty easy. Nice parts about that, it's real easy to maintain. It's real easy to take nodes on and off. And if I lose one node, the rest of the nodes don't care. But if I capture this line, I got all those nodes. If I break that line, they all go down, right? So that's not used all that often anymore. Tree. You have a bunch of branching cables. You can add or remove them pretty easily again, and it doesn't affect the rest of the network. But again, they're still on a single point of failure. If you take the trunk of that tree, you lose or you get them all as an attacker. You lose them all as a target. The ring. It's going to pass tokens along this ring. Each machine is going to talk to each next machine, and it's going to say, are you the one I'm looking for? Are you my mother? And it's going to move on until it gets to the one that says, yes, give me the message, give me the information. It's going to go that way. Disadvantages there. Again, it's a single point of failure. If you splice that ring at any given point, you lose all the data along it because they can't talk to the next machines. Mesh. Mesh is like a ring, except they're all connected to each other. There's a good example. What's the problem with that? It's really expensive. You're using a lot of cable. Instead of a ring, which is just one connection to all the machines, now all the machines are connected to all the other machines. Then you have a star topology, where all of your nodes are connected to a central device. Real easy to add and subtract. But now the hub is the thing that can be gone after. That's the one single point of failure for the entire network. Questions about the different forms of topology? These are pretty understandable. We've seen these before. Good.
Using your mesh as a pentagram.
Because it's cool. Tribute to Aleister Crowley. Cables. Cables. Anyone ever pulled cable? Anyone ever wired a patch closet? Everyone's smirking. Nobody wants to remember those days of being down in the dust. Okay, coax. It's just wire. It's what's the most familiar thing that we use coax for nowadays?
Cable television.
Cable television, right? It's got the one little spike with the whole thing around it, and the yeah. I'm sorry. What were you saying, again?
Shielded copper.
Shielded copper. Good. Yes, exactly. Good. Twisted pair. What do we use twisted pair for? Phones. It's a telephone connection, right? Got that nice little hammerhead thing. Good. And fiber optic. Cat 5, Cat 6. What is fiber optic made out of? It's not copper.
Glass.
It's glass. It's actually spun glass, right? Good. What's the problem with fiber optic?
Expensive.
It's expensive. Good. Patch panel, wire closet. What is that? Instead of actually literally every time you have to wire a node into the network, instead of crawling through the ceiling or dragging it under the floor, you have those connections already simulated by patching them into a specific panel. And then when you want to add another node, you can plug it into that panel, and it completes that connection. This is something in terms of security that a lot of folks tend to forget. Where do we put the patch panel?
In a closet somewhere.
It's in a closet. It's right there. It's on the floor next to the stairwell, right? And what kind of locks do we have on that closet? A good old Yale key lock on it, right? It's just one simple lock that's been used since the 1700s, right? We don't treat it like the server room. We don't treat it like a skiff, right? But it's got access to all these different cables in it. Modems. What is a modem?
Modulator, demodulator.
Excellent. I'm impressed. That is very cool. That is very cool. Have you ever seen one?
Yes.
Okay. Modems used to be an external device, obviously. They used to be their own standalone equipment. Now most of them are integral in hardware that ships. The problem with that is because every device has its own modem, it's easy to get access to that thing. Most modems aren't used for dial-up anymore. Can you still dial to them? Theoretically, you could. If they are connected some way to telephone, you could connect to them. You could dial them. What other devices besides computers have modems? Printers have modems, don't they? Anyone ever heard of a network getting breached by someone coming in through a printer? Yeah. And rogue modems are a huge problem in our industry because, like I said, if there's an office that doesn't have transparent access to network services, they might go and get their own. They might set up their own modem just to make it easier. Some will say, look, I'm going to go buy a hotspot from T-Mobile because it's just easier for me to get internet than to go through the network services. That's something you got to keep an eye on. Good. All right. Wire is nice. Wire is fairly secure, but it's expensive, it's cumbersome, you have to drag it. Wireless is really convenient. Wireless has a lot of efficiency behind it, right? These are all different ways of using different wireless transmissions. I can't explain them all to you. I am not an expert in wireless frequencies. Anybody know any of these things that can help? Greg, tell us a little bit about these, please. Teach us. This is the grad part of being a grad student.
So time and frequency is pretty simple. Time division is based upon the time and the slots. Each person gets their own time slots. Frequency is the same thing. Each person gets their own frequency. Frequency hopping is hopping around between the frequencies.
And why do you do that? To make it more secure so somebody can't
so one
sit
thing
on one
is
frequency?
if somebody's jamming it, you can hop around in order to try to avoid the jam.
Good.
Same thing with direct sequence is used for anti-jamming. I'm not familiar with orthogonal.
Good. Your professors would be proud. But beyond the scope of what I can offer you, other than tell you that it exists, there are different technologies out there, and there's becoming more and more every day. We're going to play the I am old card again. But acoustic couplers was the phone that you put into suction cups, and it listened to what your phone was bleep, bleep, bleeping. And there was this dude named Captain Crunch. You ever hear of this guy? He figured out that little bird whistle that came in a box of Captain Crunch as a prize was exactly the dial tone reset that AT&T used on its switches. So you could blow that into the phone, then quick jam it on your acoustic coupler, get free long distance. Woohoo, hacking, right? That's layer one. Yeah. And now you've got the rockets? What is it? It turns any laptop into a sat phone? I don't even know. But basically it's a USB stick that acts as a wireless connection. It's its own router. Impressive stuff. All right.